So we're going to look at Matt's before and after bench press. We'll go over the things he wasn't doing right first. So the two things that point out is one, the consistency of like where he's hitting the bar on his chest. Ideally, for a bench press, you want to get the bar around under the pec. I basically call it under boob. Okay, so that like I guess crease where your pec meets your torso. That's generally where the bar's going to hit for most people. Some people might be a little bit lower depending on how much of an arch they get in their bench press, but generally that's where the bar is going to touch on your chest. And then when you push up, you want to push the bar backwards over your shoulders. Okay, so if we actually look on this right side, you see that his bar is in a diagonal motion. Okay, it goes down to that crease on his underneath of his chest that I mentioned, and then the bar is pushed back over the shoulder joint. So for this left side, there's a little bit of inconsistency where he hits the bar. Okay, he's probably coming down a little bit fast as well, which is throwing him off in terms of how consistent he can be of where the bar hits him. Sometimes he gets it in the right spot, and then sometimes he gets it a little bit high. His pause is a little bit shaky as well, a bit of inconsistency with the pauses. That's just more of a practice thing. So long as you have knowledge on where the bar needs to hit on your chest and where it should go back up, and you've got like you're consciously thinking of your bar path and keeping like a good pace of bringing the bar down. Over time, it gets better with practice, so long as you're consciously thinking about it and not just like bench pressing and not thinking about it. So his bar path needs to be fixed, and again, where the bar's sitting on his chest. And the next thing was just his setup in terms of retracting his shoulder blade. So you can see that for a lot of the reps here, he's not really retracting the shoulder blades. He's just bringing the bar down, okay? And when he presses up, his shoulders are quite like long and going forward, okay? So we can see that there's a bit of a gap between his shoulder and the bench press here, right? So when he bench presses like this, it's probably going to be like a little bit more stress on the shoulders and less placed on the chest. I typically find people who say to me that I can't feel the bench press in the chest. This is even an experience that I've had anecdote for myself, that when I was pressing up, I didn't have the shoulders staying retracted, okay? I was pushing forward like this and my shoulders were rounding at the top. So you can see on this right side, before each rep, he's pulling his shoulders back, and as he presses up, the shoulder is still staying in contact with that bench. Okay, so it's not leaving and pushing forward. Alright, and as I said, he's resetting between every single repetition here. This side, sometimes he doesn't reset, sometimes he does it. I think that one he did do it a little bit there, and then he'll just come straight down. He kind of did. That was a little bit quick. So see how he kind of like retracted but come down too fast? You want to have a delay between retract first, hold it, and then come down. Okay? So that were the two main things with these bench press: inconsistency with the bar path, and not having the shoulders retracted throughout the entire bench press. On this right side, what he could improve is using more leg drive. It doesn't really look like he's pressing his upper back hard into the bench, and it doesn't really look like that as he presses up, he's pushing his upper back into the bench. So not using any leg drive. So I think he could do better with that, but it's things that you work on as the weeks go on. Basically what you want to do is pick what's the most important thing. So like in this, if this was Matt's, if I had Matt right now and this was his squat that we were doing, his bench press, I would focus on those two things first. I'll be like, okay, I want your consistency when the bar's hitting on your chest, and I want you to try to retract your shoulder blades between each repetition. When he can consistently do that and get to here, Then my next cue will be like, okay, now let's add leg drive into your setup. Because if you do too many cues at once, it becomes a bit overwhelming and you might start forgetting to do stuff, and there's just too many things to think of. So pick one or two cues. What's the main things that really jump out that you think it's most important to fix? Fix those, make them, do them enough that they kind of start to become a habit now, so you don't really have to use as much mental bandwidth to get those technique cues done. And then once you have mastered those, then you can start introducing new technique cues.